so very grateful for our music team. We're so very grateful that this is Thanksgiving week, because isn't that a great holiday that we just get together to give thanks? I mean, it's not about religion, it's not about politics, it's not about anything but gratitude. And of course, gratitude is, the most wonderful thing. Gratitude, Cicero, the Roman philosopher, said, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. But the parent of all the other virtues. And the Roman senator Seneca was quoted as saying, nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. So people have known for a long time that gratitude is really an important energy to have. And what we know as metaphysicians is that it is a generative energy. We get more of what we're grateful for. We know that energy flows where attention goes. So when we're putting our attention on what we are grateful for, we are bringing more to be grateful for. And it can show up in wonderful, wonderful ways if we're open to it. Now, our value for this month is financial health and prosperity, and our theme is peace and prosperity for all. Peace and prosperity for all. And our book this month is a little book called The Path to Wealth by Mae McCarthy. And it is really a book about having a consistent spiritual practice, a relationship with what she calls the chief spiritual officer, because she's a multimillionaire businesswoman, and she credits her success to having a daily relationship with her CSO, with her chief spiritual officer. And so we've been going through the steps that she does every day. She spends about a half an hour in the morning doing 4 steps in the morning, and we've gone through this in the last couple of weeks, but for those of you who haven't been here, the first thing is she reads something inspiring. She reads something inspiring to open her as a receptive energy. So she reads something inspiring to just open that receptive energy, and then she starts writing a letter to the CSO of gratitude, where she's being thankful for all of the things that she's already having, and she's also being grateful for the things that she wants to have. But she does it in a way that's really nice, because she says things like, that the contract that's coming up unfolds for the highest good for the customer and for us. That everything is unfolding for the highest good of all. So in other words, if that contract doesn't come through, it wasn't meant to be for them. It wasn't a good match. But if it is a good match, if we're going to provide the services that they need and we are compatible, then let that happen. So she's not being, I have to have this, blah, blah, blah. But she does say things like, we want to have a quarterly profit of, or a quarterly contract of $400,000 or more. So she doesn't limit it, but she does say, or more. And, things happen that bring this about, because she does, like the song said that we just sang, I trust in God. I trust in God. So that's what she's doing. Now, so that she reads this, she writes this letter out with these gratitude statements, and then she reads it out loud with feeling. So a lot of us, have been taught to pray quietly. That's the way we're supposed to pray. But she says, read these gratitude statements out loud. Now, John Wesley, who founded the Methodist Church, he was also a great out louder. He believed in out loud prayer. In fact, apparently he used to walk around the campus and just be praying out loud all the time. And it was like, oh man, here he comes. But, I used to pray in the car when I was first learning science of mind and treatment and things like that. I had joined the community that is like our Uplift. We helped people in the community and we prayed for them as well. And so I would pray out loud for the list of people who were on the prayer list in my car, because I used to commute from Santa Rosa to Corte Madera, which could be 45 minutes or 2 hours, depending on the traffic. And so I would pray out loud for the whole time. And, it really inspired me to pray out loud. So that's the next key, is pray out loud. Or you're saying your gratitudes out loud. You're saying them out loud and feeling it. And then you're closing your eyes. The fourth step is you close your eyes and you really imagine having all of the things that you have claimed. And you just get the feeling of how that feels. Do you feel relieved? Do you feel inspired? Do you feel, because it's really all about feeling. It's not about the thing. You're looking for the thing to bring you a feeling. So it's really all about the inside job. It's about what creates that feeling. And eventually you learn that you can create the feeling without having the thing. And when you create the feeling without having the thing, you sort of draw the thing to you. It's sort of one of those mystical, magical things where you're just accepting it. See, the thing is, Spirit's already given it. It's giving everything to everyone all the time as ideas. So the tool that we use in this fourth step is the gift of imagination. The gift of imagination is where we really are thinking of that as already done, as already done. We've got that gift of imagination. And sometimes when we're thinking of this, we get ideas. We get an intuitive hit. She says, if you get this idea, if you get this hit, if you get something that comes to you, write it down. Write it down. And if you do get something, do it. Now, if it's not clear what it is, if you say, did they really mean go to the bagel shop and buy, a dozen bagels? I mean, what was that all about? You ask for another hit. That you ask for a clearer direction. Please give me another lead. Thank you very much. So, make it clear to me. Ask for clear direction if you need it. So that's what we do. So the next couple of steps in the process we do throughout the day. Throughout the day, we keep our eyes open for these intuitive hits. Sometimes it can come as something you hear on the radio. It could come from a sign along the road. It just, things show up that sort of give you a clue about what you're supposed to do next. And when you get them, write them down. Now, if you're in the car, maybe you want to record them. If you've got a little recorder. I used to have a little recorder in my car where I would, record ideas that came to me. What Ernest Holmes says, who founded the Science of Mind and Spirit 100 years ago, next year, that's when you took it on the road anyway, he said, first of all, you must arrive at peace of mind. It is only on the basis of peace that you can persist with absolute certainty. Peace alone gives poise. There is an intuition within you which already knows that you are one with good, that your destiny is certain, and you must listen to this intuition, for it is the voice of God in you. You must listen to this intuition, for it is the voice of God in you. Anybody here ever ignored an intuition and been sorry about that? Yep. You know, we get these little hits and we think, oh, that can't be right. Well, it feels uncomfortable and I don't really want to do that. And we don't, and then what happens? It comes back at us in a more painful way sometimes. You know, the old whack on the side of the head. It comes around again because we're supposed to be taking action on it. And if we don't take that action, it's going to come back to us in a way that may be even more uncomfortable than we thought the first action was going to be. The other thing that she says for the next step, after listening to our intuition, and something happens and we have what we call a demonstration. When we have an answered prayer, in the science of mind, when we have an answered prayer, we call it a demonstration. In other words, we demonstrate the good that we have asked for. And when we do that, she says, celebrate it. Text a friend, call a relative, talk to somebody, and say, wow, this happened. Isn't it great? Now, one thing I loved when Carol Judd was our board president was that when we accomplished something in the board meeting, she would stand up and say, happy dance, and she would go around like this. Happy dance. And so we started all getting up and doing the happy dance. And that was, it was really fun. And, fun is something we don't do a lot of, especially in board meetings. I mean, we do have fun, but, standing up and jumping around. And she says, she called her administrator in, and they both jumped up and down. They were like holding hands, jumping up and down. Yay, yay, we got it. Woohoo. Celebrate. Celebrate. So that's part of the practice, is when something happens and the good comes, celebrate it. And then just at night, before you go to sleep, you once again say out loud your gratitude statements for all the stuff that happened during the day. So you say them out loud again. And sometimes you've written them down, so if you forget, you could pull that out and recite them from what you've written down. So you can read all of that. You can read your gratitudes at the end of the day. And then the other thing she does is she has a forgiveness practice as part of this as well. So after she thanks her CSO, her Chief Spiritual Officer, she commits to forgiving anyone, including herself, for anything that's been done in the past or present that needs to be cleared out of our lives. Okay, so here's what she says, and she actually puts this in the book. CSO, if there is anyone from my past or present that I need to forgive, whether I remember them or not, I now do so. I bless them, and the train is coming. Okay. We're grateful for the train. Okay. Whether I remember them or not, I now do so. I bless them, I love them, I forgive them, and I release them into your care, knowing that you will work with them in whatever way is best. And if there is anyone from my past or present who needs to forgive me, including myself, they now do so, and we are all free to experience a higher and greater good in our lives. So we're all free to experience a higher and greater good in our lives. So this emphasizes the realization that when we're talking about forgiveness, we are not talking about atonement, we're not talking about reconciliation, we're talking about forgiveness as a practice that allows us to release the energy that we have tied to someone or something in the past. So it's not saying that whatever they did was okay. It's not letting them off the hook in terms of prosecution or anything else. What it is freeing ourselves, or as we used to say, letting that person have harmless passage through our mind. That means thinking about them doesn't automatically trigger an emotional reaction. Not having that emotional reaction is really critical. Edwene Gaines, who's a great prosperity teacher, talked about one time that she was having some situations where things were getting a little tight, and she thought, I must need to do some forgiveness. I wonder what it's about. And then she thought about her ex-husband, and sure enough, she had an emotional reaction to her ex-husband and their relationship. And so she said, okay, I really need to forgive. Excuse me. I really need to forgive him, so I'm going to write a letter. She said, now you don't have to mail the letter. You just have to write it out. So she wrote the letter and she said, I forgive you for whatever happened. I forgive myself for my part in what happened in us breaking up. I only wish you the very best, that your business is successful, that your new wife and you are getting along wonderfully, that your home is beautiful and a wonderful opportunity for you to continue to thrive in your business. And she just wrote it all out, wishing him the very best and freeing herself. Excuse me. Freeing herself. So she just wrote the letter, and then she felt better. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, she gets a letter from her ex-husband with a check for $1,000 to support her ministry, and just saying, was just thinking about you the other day, and wishing you the best, and thought you could use this, and just know that I still love you, and that we're, that all is well between us. So forgiveness is a very powerful practice. As I said, it's not about reconciliation, it's about us freeing ourselves. In fact, they've done neurological studies, MRIs of people's brains during a forgiveness process, and the frontal lobe, which they also call the God lobe, lights up all over the place. Now that part of the brain is for reasoning and decision making, and they're thinking, well, maybe it even helps you make better decisions if you forgive, because you're not having your energy tied to something in the past. And she talks about, May talks about a demonstration she saw where a guy was tied to another guy, and he was saying, every time I want to move, I'm dragging this other guy with me because I haven't forgiven him. So he's still in my mind. He's taking up energetic space in my brain and in my emotions. So I have to do the untying. I have to untie myself. So this forgiveness process is very, very important. And this doesn't just work in terms of her business. One night, she woke up in the middle of the night, and she had this intuitive hit to call her sister. Now it's 3 o'clock in the morning. She knows if she calls her sister in the middle of the night, she's going to wake up the whole house. But she just had this intuitive hit, call your sister. She calls her sister, and sure enough, her sister is wide awake. She's ill. And so she talks to her sister. She prays with her sister. They, make affirmative statements about her health and all that kind of stuff. And then she feels better, and she goes back to sleep. And the next day she got up and went to work. So she got, so it's not just about your business life. It's about life. It's about having this relationship with spirit. And like any relationship, we have to nourish it. We have to be consistent in it. We have to do it every day. Now, do we think we could spare half an hour every day to open ourselves to more abundance, more joy, more peace, more love, more infinite expression? Yeah, I think we could. I think we could. So it's just, trying it out. Now, the other thing is, it's not just about receiving, getting stuff. It's about giving and the consciousness of giving. Giving and the consciousness of giving. We give with a grateful heart. We give to the Interfaith Food Ministry because we are grateful that we have Thanksgiving dinner and we don't have to rely on anyone else to provide it. And so we have a grateful heart. We give from that place of gratitude. When I retired for the first time from Pacific Bell back in 1994, I was feeling, I hadn't started practitioner training or anything like that. In fact, I hadn't even started going to the Science of Mind church yet. And so I had left. I had some money when I left, but I was thinking, oh my God, I've been with this company for 27 years, and I haven't been out there looking for a job. And am I going to be able to find a job? How's that going to work? And what's going to happen? I mean, the first month off was like, woohoo. The second month was like, ah! So I get a call one night from the San Francisco Ballet, where I have been, buying tickets for the San Francisco Ballet for season tickets for years. And now it's, season tickets time, and they're calling and saying, hey, are you going to buy these season tickets again? And it was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And the woman that I talked to, she just said, I told her my situation, that I was no longer working, and she said, well, you're going to find a job. It's not a problem. You're going to find a job and it'll be fine. And in fact, buying these tickets is a sign that you're confident in your ability to find a job. And I bought that. It was like, okay, yes, I can do this. So I did. I bought the tickets. And sure enough, about 3 days later, I get a call from a former associate who is working for a consulting company that is, something is beeping. Oh. Okay. Anyway, so I get this call from this associate, and she says she's working for a consulting company, and they're working on the Year 2000 project at Delta Dental, which is what I had been working on at Pacific Bell. And she said they're looking for people to project manage, which is what I did. So I went in, I did the interview, I got the job, and I was making more money than I was when I left Pac Bell. So it was really great. And I went to the ballet. So the thing is, part of it is, releasing our fear. Releasing our fear. In Fed, I told you about when I was doing the coming over the mountain, fear being feeling excited and ready. F-E-A-R, feeling excited and ready, instead of feeling constricted and fearful and constrained, scared. Just opening up. Another acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. And this is part of what we need to really do as spiritual practitioners, which we all are. We don't know it sometimes, but every thought that we have with emotion is creating an energy pattern in the universe that returns to us what we're thinking into it. We're sending vibrations out and they are returning to us. So everything that we're seeing is from the past echoing into the future. And we want to shift the echo into something more positive, more hopeful, more peaceful, more powerful, more creative, more loving. And so it's our job to do that, to be that as we go forward. Eric Butterworth, who wrote the book Spiritual Economics, says, you do not need something to be grateful for. You need only the desire to feel grateful. He says, invoke Plato's law. When you feel grateful, you become great and eventually attract great things. Melody Beattie, who wrote all the books about codependency, she says, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. So being grateful for all of it and looking through the appearance, looking for what is beautiful in your life, looking for the good. I mean, I remind myself again and again, to be grateful for my health, because I always remember to be grateful for my health when I'm not healthy. It's like, uh-oh, I forgot to be grateful for that. So we are having the opportunity to be grateful for the beauty that's around us. I mean, we're so lucky. All of these beautiful colors in the fall trees, this beautiful flower arrangement that Linda High made. It's a horn of plenty with flowers coming out of it. It's just lovely. The beauty of life, really seeing that, feeling that, experiencing that, looking for it, finding it, and celebrating it is good for our health. Gratitude is good for our health. It's good for our life. It's good for our relationships. Being grateful for it all. Being grateful for it all. It's what's called spiritual prosperity. Spiritual prosperity is the willingness and ability to see God's presence in all people and all experiences now. To say, if I say it's all God, God is at work here somewhere. Even if I can't see it in this moment. Every morning after I've completed my prayer work and my meditation, I say to myself, I am grateful for this day and all the gifts this day brings to me and all the gifts I get to give to it. Every day, I am grateful for this day and all the gifts it brings to me and all the gifts I get to give to it. So we're in a balanced relationship here. I am giving and I am receiving. And I'm willing to do and to be both. So I invited you last week to just think about peace in the world. And looking beyond all of the appearances that are so disturbing and chaotic and warlike, and look beyond it to what would it look like, feel like, to have a world of peace. To be in a world where everyone was at peace. Everyone had sufficient food, everyone had a home, everyone had work to do, everyone had joyful relationships. I mean, what would that feel like? What would it be like? Could we even envision it? Because if we can't envision it, we can't experience it. So it's important for us to think about that on a daily basis, to just envision the world of peace and love and harmony and wholeness. From the Voice Celestial, Ernest and Fenwick Holmes wrote, "For all tomorrow's good may rest today upon your gratitude. For they who give thanks before the wine is pressed from grapes still clinging to the vine, have shown a faith above, beyond the present hour, and their thanksgiving holds the future flower." So our affirmation for today, which is in the bulletin, I think it's on page 2, is, I am grateful every day for all the good in my life. I am grateful every day for all the good in my life. I am grateful every day for all the good in my life. I am grateful every day for all the good in my life. And so it is.